This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube, Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food? Like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
I'm returning to Clinton Paris, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton, Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida, 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network, online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located.
All right, welcome to another edition of the ONG Strike Zone. Brian Fulford, Kofi Hemingway, Kelvin Rosie. I had to remember who you guys were. It's been so long. How you guys doing?
You need to get it together. That's what you need to do. Sitting up there talking about you forgot who we were.
How we doing? We holding it down for our brother. We are our brother's keepers.
Amen. Amen. You guys did
hold
a great
it down
job.
For my brother, hold it down.
You guys did a great
job. About us and everything.
All we got.
Yeah. No, in all seriousness, I enjoyed listening to the show. Definitely I enjoyed it on my long trip over the weekend when I went up to Savannah State to call a game up there. So I really enjoyed listening to you guys, and Marcus did a great job as well. As soon as we can get this, I'm gonna, I know we're live right now. I'm just waiting on us so I can go ahead and tweet this out from the ONG Strike Zone.
Just tweet it, man. Tweet. Let's go on and tweet.
The damn thing is not on the site yet. I'm blaming the producer on that. But anyway, he won't listen to me. But anyway, follow the ONG Strike Zone on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'm assuming we're on YouTube. That's how we do. But if you're on YouTube and you press the bell and you got the notification, we're live. If you downloaded the Jericho Broadcast Network's app by going to your Google and Apple Play Store, by searching My JBN or My BCSN, we're live. If you're on Facebook, where we are, we're live. I don't know where else we're live at, fellas. I know we'll be live in a few other places here shortly. So, all in due time, my brothers. So look, we got a lot that's going on around FAMU in the HBCU sports world. This is one of those, we've got the conclusion really of the football and volleyball season, which we'll talk about here in a moment. We're in the midst. I hate to call it these. I feel like we're in the midst of sort of the cloudy, dark days of the basketball season. I'm just keeping it real, what it is. But there's so much happening around FAMU. I thought this would be a great, this feels like one of those shows, guys, where it's like a lot of stuff we talk about will maybe be around FAMU and how it will impact FAMU, or maybe what it means to FAMU, but maybe it's not directly about FAMU. Does that seem kind of about right for you guys?
I guess you could put it like that. I guess you can put it like that.
You guess?
I guess,
well,
I guess you can put it like that, but it still involves us because it's one of our brethren in the SWAC. So
right.
Yeah, it definitely affects what happens. And this is where that level of camaraderie comes in the SWAC, because and why we need to unify on some level is because your success or even your failure affects us in a number of different ways. You rise, we rise. You fall. Unfortunately, it affects the whole outlook with the conference. So we need everybody to be strong on some level, just so long as they're not strong enough to beat us. So there we go.
Well said. Well, let's start the show kind of with where things left off as it relates to FAMU, and we'll start with the end of the season, the end of a great season for the Lady Rattlers, the volleyball team. They, of course, winners of the SWAC championship, get the automatic bid, got a chance to play their opening round contest in the NCAA tournament against Florida, the University of Florida, who were the regional host. Florida was the 16 seed, and they only seed the top 16 teams in the volleyball tournament. So, FAMU got a chance to go out there. Look, it is what it is. We haven't had a lot of success in the previous years against Florida. I was hoping, I was optimistic, thought that we might be able to get a set off of them and then kind of just see where it goes from there. But Florida proved to be pretty doggone impressive. I mean, when you look at the trees that they had on the other side of the net from us, and just some of the ball placement was just next level by Florida. So, I don't know why they don't make volleyball a double elimination tournament anymore like they used to. But they don't. So FAMU ended up losing 3-0 to Florida, 25-11, 25-14, and 25-8 in those three sets. But let's not take away from, what this season has been. We clinched that tournament spot, won the SWAC in our first season there. We took away the SWAC Player of the Year, Setter of the Year, Player of the Year, Dominique Washington, Setter of the Year, Ira Mukhar, Libero of the Year, Jess Long. Dominique was also the Newcomer of the Year. We took home Coach of the Year, Coach Gokhan Yilmaz, and the 26 wins, I believe it was 26-6 was our final record. The most wins, or I should say the first 20-win season since 2006, and we had 18 sweeps among those 26 wins. So as you summarize the season, Kelvin, how would you summarize the season after it comes to a close against Florida?
There's only one way to summarize it. It was a successful season. It was an awesome season. We hadn't played in a couple of years. We hadn't been in the postseason in a while. And, when Coach talked to us at the beginning of the season, he laid out what his strategy was. And it actually played out to a T. I mentioned on, I think, last show that about 4 teams that we played out of conference won their conference or were in the tournament and was in the tournament also. One of which, South Alabama, was shipped down to Florida too. So it was a successful season. You talked about all the accolades. I think Dominique got another accolade this week. I think she was a regional pick for the Volleyball Association. I think it might have been like second team or whatever, but so and pretty much the entire team is coming back. This team will be back to defend next year. And remember, we won the conference tournament championship. We actually finished second in the regular season to Jackson State. So we get a chance to sweep the whole thing next year. And I guess our next step is really to see if we can add some pieces, some of those trees as you talked about, because when you go to that next level of volleyball, you're going against 6'3", 6'4", and so forth. So I know our girls are athletic and quick and so forth, but I think the next level is getting a little more size along to go with our skills and our technical skills with what we currently have. But it was a great season, and I can't wait to have Coach Gokhan on to kind of give his thoughts and also talk about his recruiting.
Kofi, your thoughts on the Lady Rattlers?
I mean, there's not a whole lot to say except just like Kelvin stated, we had an amazing season. And as the Emperor would say on Star Wars, everything went as planned. We ended up winning the SWAC tournament. We avenged our loss to both Jackson State and Alabama State. And, we sweated out and grinded out a tough tournament win. I think obviously the vision for our volleyball team is strong. And I'm looking for things to get even stronger. But, you know, we're talking about winning at the next level. There's a lot of different little moving parts and components that come along with that. And the good thing is FAMU has somebody that is experienced, that understands the region, that understands the game, that understands what we specifically need to do to get to that next level. I think we are athletic, but when you combine athleticism and power along with that height, you know, it's a tough combination to beat. So obviously we have to stretch ourselves and get even a better quality athlete to compete on the highest of 7 hills, and that'll cause everybody to get better.
Yeah, well said. Kelvin, you mentioned the honors for Dominique. She was named to the ABCA Southeast All-Region Honorable Mention Team. Washington with one of the best seasons in Rattler history, with the second most kills and attacks in a single season. Second most kills with 564 and attacks at 1,325. She also ranked top 15 in the nation in the following categories. And I would love for somebody, you know, somebody who's out there doing some homework or wants some homework assignment, take a look at these stats and see how many other players are in the top 15 in these categories. She was 15th in total attacks, 7th in points per set, 5th in kills per set, overall points, and she was 3rd, and she was 3rd in total kills. That's in the nation. So, I mean, you know, just I would just, you know, like I said, I know Dominique follows us on Twitter, and I know we had her on at the beginning of the year, and I definitely gonna have to reach out. We might have to have Dominique on as well, and you know, we just want to find, because I still maintain it's one of the great stories. I think 2 of the best stories in college athletics, Dominique Washington and Isaiah Land, and both of them, given a year ago where they were and their story, whoever's like, I'm giving somebody the script, whoever's doing the documentary out there, or whoever wants that story, you know, like, there's a story, you know.
What I was going to say is it confirms and solidifies the fact that FAMU is a launching pad, you know, for emerging leaders, world changers, record breakers, emerging athletes on every level. And, you know, you get notoriety from competing right here on the highest of 7 hills in Tallahassee, Florida. So you do not have to feel as though you are in obscurity. You will get noticed by playing for the mighty Rattlers. And so I'm excited for them both. They both deserve it. Both of them are hard workers. They have a tremendous work ethic. They're great people, super intelligent. And I'm happy.
Marketing, and you wanted to put together that promo. I mean, imagine the promo and the marketing promo that you could put together on, you know, what FAMU can do for you. And you just have to, you can look at Dominique Washington. You could go to Isaiah Land. You could go to Marquise Bell. You know what I'm saying? And just say what coming to FAMU did for them. And, you know, I mean, it's an outstanding story. And I think there are other stories like that out there, but it's a heck of a promo piece, I think, that you can lean on.
Well, it's one of the benefits, again, of having a world-class journalism school and a world-class school of business and industry, where we have people in high places that can launch you, you know, that have the ability to put the spotlight on you, you know, to have the connections to say, yes, we're going to do that. You know, a lot of people wondered how FAMU got on ESPN Game Day. Well, Our journalism school produced people that were able to get jobs with ESPN. So when the conversation came up, where can we have game day? FAMU is in the discussion. When, they had the tailgating show on CNN, again, we had a FAMU graduate that was producing the freaking show. So guess what? Let's take a trip to the highest of Seven Hills and see what's going on in Tallahassee, Florida. Let's see what the tailgating life is down there, So it puts things in perspective when you have a school that's producing not people that are just going to work, but people that are going to be decision makers at a very high level.
Well said. So look, we've done the thought. We are the idea makers here on the O&G. I mean, we're just full of ideas.
That'll be 10%. I want my 10.
Thank you. We just give them out. We just give them out.
Rory Sherrock, I want my 10%.
Yes, we don't want to see. We better not see a story written on. Anyway, let me stop. We inspire people. We are muses, the three muses of the O&G Strike Zone. That's what we do for people, flat out. Happy holidays, everybody. Here we got more gifts for you. Look, let me transition over to the football field because this just came out. I'm looking at FAMUathletics.com. This came out as of noon today. Isaiah Land, one of three to receive an invitation to Frisco, Texas for the January 7th announcement of the 2021 Stats Perform Buck Buchanan Award presented to the National Defensive Player of the Year in Division I FCS. Of course, Buck Buchanan Award, Buck Buchanan who just recently passed, if I'm not mistaken, right? This past week. Was let me get it right. Grambling graduate, correct?
Okay. Absolutely.
Okay, Grambling graduate and the number 1 overall pick of the AFL in 1967, if my memory serves correct. Other HBCUs players who actually last year, Southern's defensive end won the award in the spring, and I know there was one other HBCU player who won the award. No, there's a couple other. You got Rashawn Mathis of Bethune won it. I think that's the only other HBCU player. I could be wrong. But anyway, the 2021 winner selected by a 50-member panel, he is going up there along with Montana State's Troy Anderson and Montana's Patrick O'Connell. Fellas, I got a good feeling. Isaiah may be coming home with the National Player of the Year award. Marquise Bell was also nominated as one of the finalists, but I think based on the numbers, it's kind of telling that Land and his FCS leading sacks with 19 and 25.5 tackles for loss, along with 43 tackles, that he was the SWAC Defensive Player of the Year. Look, that was the second in Rattler Nation, in Rattler history, was the second most sacks in history.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's a good chance that Isaiah will be going home with that award. Where would that rank? Have we had any, if you think back in the history and the annals of athletes, this would be the highest award that any FAMU football player would ever have been recognized, right? I see you shaking your head, Kofi.
Correct.
Wow.
Other than an Olympic gold medal with Bob Hayes and a Grand Slam, but they didn't do that while they were students. Well, did Bob Hayes do it as a student? Only Bob Hayes. I put it like that.
Okay. Well, walking in rare form. So,
and for the record, Division I AA only started in 1978, right? So correct. It's not an old or ancient league, they never thought of giving us Heisman's or any of those things like that. Till much later on, we weren't even considered, largely because of the media campaigns and the perception of the country, you know, not having a TV deal and stuff like that. So we did have players that were worthy, but you know, just the times didn't allow it to be so. So it is what it is.
And what's always great is that these awards, all named after HBCU players, you know, the Walter Payton Award for Offensive Player of the Year, the Jerry Rice Award for, I don't think it's top receiver. I think it's maybe freshman of the year or something to that effect. But then you have the Eddie Robinson Award for your coach of the year. So, I mean, that history and ties of that HBCUs have with this award they run deep, you know, so that's very significant. And I also would be remiss, guys, if we didn't talk about in this first segment the national honor, the College Football Foundation, National Football Foundation, had their Hall of Fame induction ceremony just this other day. I think it was Tuesday. And Coach Rudy Hubbard was finally recognized. Of course, it's been a great year and a lead up to this date where he actually received his plaque and his recognition. Of course, there's some photos out there, obviously, on social media of Coach Hubbard. I know Coach Simmons and his wife were there. A.D. Gaucher was there. I maybe even
that was in Vegas, correct?
Yes.
It was in Vegas? Okay.
It was in Vegas.
Okay. Yeah. And I know Greg Coleman, who we talked with, I think he was there. Looked like some of the photos. So just a great moment for FAMU athletics and FAMU football.
Well deserved, Ryan. I'm glad he get to have his flowers while he's still here with us in the living.
Amen.
And you know, anybody who know his story and kind of how he got here, and then how it kind of ended, and then he didn't coach for the longest of time, and then he kind of got back into the high school scene at Rutgers for a little while. And you know, to me, it's just full circle, man. And that, you talk about all the great stories. There's another just awesome story. And to jump back away from that to Isaiah real quick. Isaiah numbers in terms of tackles for loss as well as sacks are so far out there, so astronomical. It would be an upset, in my opinion, if he didn't get it. And then, but I also want to point out that if you look at the type of teams that we played teams that really weren't pass oriented. Mm-hmm. So for him to put up those kind of numbers, you know, with the offenses we played, plus having another All-American like Marquise on the back end and some other, it's a dream season. It's like a Cinderella once in a lifetime season. So I don't know if the voters see all that, but I know they see the numbers, was why he's in the top 3, of course. But if you actually put that in the context, what he did is just spectacular.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you look at the numbers, what's interesting about Coach Hubbard, and then we'll get ready to go to break. I just want to add, as a student journalist trying to find my way and then find stories about FAMU, he granted me an interview, which actually ran in the homecoming edition of the FAMU. I think this was the 94 homecoming, maybe 95 homecoming. And we talked a lot about that, because obviously that was sort of my article to more so say it's time for Coach Hubbard to come back. It's time to mend the fences with the way things ended. And I think at some point we're going to try to get Coach Hubbard on the show. And I'm hoping I can find that article. I did find it, by the way, maybe last year. I'm hoping I can find that article and just share it with him and send it to him, because that, for me, as a young journalist, I was nervous as heck. I'm going over to a legend's house. I actually went over to his house and interviewed him. And, I don't know, it brings up a lot of emotions and a lot of thoughts in my head. So I'm going to kind of stop before I get a little misty-eyed. But anyway, it's really cool that Coach Hubbard was recognized. Let's take a break, come back on the other side. and get into talking about some of these news makers that are going on the swag. There was a big game that happened Saturday, guys, and the impact of that game. Kofi, you had some very interesting comments I saw on Facebook, so we'll kind of talk a little bit about that coming up on the other side. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone. We'll be back in just a moment.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time-consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote. Allstate, are you in good hands?
FAMU.
All right, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian, Kofi, and
Boy, let him brother go, man. Let him
hey, you gotta watch. You gotta watch the preview screen there, brother. Watch the preview screen. You know. Look, man. Hey, fellas, there's a lot of stuff. Okay, here I found it. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. A reminder, coming up in the second hour, Marcus Green's going to come back and join us because we got some recruiting news, recruiting info to talk about. Man, it's hot and heavy out there. This is like we get into that the recruiting season. Obviously, once this regular season ends, we get into recruiting season, and there's a lot of stuff going on, man. Every day is something. We got coaching news. Before we even get into talking about the SWAC championship, because let's just talk about what's hot. It's coaching news. And it sort of has a potential trickle down to us, to FAMU. Obviously, the big news this week, right after the SWAC championship game, we should say, Southern named Eric Dooley their head coach. Coach Dooley finished up with the championship game, lost that game to Jackson State, packed his bags, left the suitcase, and he was off to Baton Rouge to sign a contract. Obviously, Prairie View didn't want to make the move and didn't make the move. So we kind of all speculated that was going to happen. Grambling also in the hunt. And I believe Dooley is a Grambling grad, correct? Grambling grad, but he cut his teeth under Pete Richardson at Southern. So, and a great quote by Coach Pete Richardson, who said, I knew he was coming all along. So, I mean, that just tells you something right there. So the latest news, which is just coming out, it's been hot and heavy over the last 3 or 4 hours. Hugh Jackson, the assistant coach at Tennessee State, and of course, with many ties in the NFL, former head coach with the Cleveland Browns and now the Las Vegas Raiders. I think he was with them when they were in Oakland, is by all reports scheduled to be the new head coach at Grambling. Grambling has scheduled a news conference for Friday at 10 o'clock. So, today's Wednesday as we're recording it. So they're going to let this just sit out there for 48 hours and draw all kinds of attention. But the trickle-down effect means that there is an opening at Prairie View A&M now. And, of course, that kind of comes down our face and our road where one of the big names, and this was a name that even Coach Simmons talked about that would come up, is Coach Black, the co-offensive coordinator and quarterback coach. He's a Prairie View A&M former player, put up some great numbers there at Prairie View A&M. His name will most likely be under consideration. So, fellas, where do we go with this? We've got Dooley and Southern, Hugh Jackson and Grambling, an open Prairie View position. What are your thoughts, Kofi? Where do we go?
Well, let me first address Coach Black, because obviously he's a rising star in the coaching ranks, and a lot of Prairie View Panthers in particular remember his heyday, which wasn't really that long ago, but they were very, very excited to try to bring him on, bring him back home to Prairie View. But at the end of the day, after talking to some more people, some more sources at Prairie View, they just felt that right now they would like to see him get a little bit more seasoning before bringing him back. But, that's just a sign, and that's just one of the things that happens when you have a good staff. People will come and pluck the people off your staff and try to, upgrade them, so to speak, or give them additional positions. And so that's just something, that's just the nature of the beast, which is why, any head guy wants to make sure that they have an active Rolodex of coaches that would be able to come in and assist or meet the needs of your staff and team at the appointed time. So all of these things are coming full circle. I think it's a good time. It speaks well and speaks very highly of Coach Black and the talent level that he does have, the level of influence, the level of knowledge, the level of connections that he has. And the best is yet to come for him. And I'm excited about his future. It just will not be right now. From what I'm hearing and about the Prairie View job, Kevin Sumlin's name is up there. And also Ed Reed is also out there for that job. In addition, Henry Frazier, who also had coached and led Prairie View to the last SWAC title, is also in the mix. So there are a number of quality candidates that are available and I would also like to add that Charlie Strong's name has also been thrown around in that particular circle. So the Prairie View shoes will be filled by somebody. Let me backtrack a little bit. I don't want to jump the gun because sometimes at our HBCUs, alums and just people just don't do the obvious thing. It's just like they make simple stuff so freaking hard. So freaking hard. I'm just like, oh my God. Like, how did y'all mess that up? Really? Case in point, Alabama State. Woo. You had Hugh Jackson, Kevin Sumlin. Oh my God. Rod Woodson.
Wait a minute, you just gave 3 names and didn't even talk about Ruffin, who's just sitting right there in the backyard.
Ruffin. The dude at Bowie State. You had all of these, the Gabe Giardini. and you picked a real estate agent, man. All right.
Stop it. Stop. Hold on. Before you keep going, Kofi, Kelvin, get in there and what's your thoughts about Coach Black, potential Prairie View, the opening, and just, I mean, you know, is it wishful thinking that we don't think, or is it wishful thinking that Coach Black won't go to Prairie View? How serious of a candidate should he be?
Well, if you judge it by the social media circles and some of those who are diehards who remember him as the leader of the team when they last competed for a SWAC championship, there's a lot of enthusiasm behind that. And as Kofi mentioned, he is a bright up and comer. He's really at the cusp of being a viable candidate for head coaching position at a lot of institutions, but he's particularly suited for that one. This is his first time as a co-coordinator though. And so I don't know if we out of the woods yet, to be honest. You know, he's a pretty good recruiter too. And I know he's out there in Texas doing some recruiting now, as well as being a good coach and just a good person and all those things. And I'll be interested to see who Prairie View hires. And based upon that, if he comes up as a candidate for a coordinator position. So there, that's another little twist. Of course, I love him, and he's doing a good job here, and we want him here. But he in a profession where you go where the opportunity is when it's available, and then it would be understandable if he was getting paid and going home and all that good stuff. So we'll just have to see how that plays out.
I'm going to play the contrarian here because as I look at his resume, I've seen people get jobs with less. And what I mean is 2 years as a grad assistant, from 15 to 17, quarterbacks coach, passing game coordinator, 2018 tight ends coach. Pretty much those are the years with Coach Simmons. Then he comes over to FAMU in 2019, pass game coordinator, QB coach. And then this past season. I mean, so we're talking a solid 5 seasons. It's 6 if you include the COVID year and whatever on the job. You can't really call it, well, maybe training that goes with that. So 5 to 6 years as an assistant coach. And then you add in the grad assistant years, and then the fact that he's a player, a former player. I mean, you can wait around for the next big name, but if you want to not be a stepping stone, which Prairie View A&M has been a stepping stone, and sort of indirectly, Coach Dooley, it was a stepping stone onto a dream job at Southern. Coach Simmons, it turned out to be a stepping stone to a dream job at FAMU. I don't know about the history before Coach Simmons at Prairie View. I mean, I can look it up. But at the last 6 years, you have 6 to 7 years, you've lost coaches to their dream job. Whose dream job is Prairie View? You know what I'm saying? So at what point does Prairie View say, let's bring one of our own home? You know what I'm saying? So I think, yeah, Sumlin sounds great because of his Texas connection, his ties, especially with Houston. But, I mean, great facilities there. But, is Kevin Sumlin going to use that to rebuild his career and step on to another thing?
Here's the deal. He had his opportunity. You don't get a bigger or a higher paying job than Texas A&M unless you're playing for the University of Texas. So he could, but I think he's looking for an opportunity. And of course, if he blows it out of the water, because he's very familiar. He was the head coach at the university. Sumlin was the head coach at the University of Houston. So he understands that area. He already has tangible ties in that area. He's able to recognize talent to run the offensive schemes that he wants to run. Plus, he has a number of different contacts in the coaching ranks that he would be able to fill out a very talented staff pretty quickly. And you can say the same thing about Ed Reed. You know, now in terms of that whole stepping stone thing, I mean, it is what it is. You know, I think every AD has to have in the back of their mind a contingency plan of some sort. Worst case scenario, because God forbid somebody get in an accident, somebody, you know, a scandal happens, an emergency happens, you have to make changes immediately. And then it's like, wow, you know, so you never want to get caught, you know, in case of crisis, what do I do? So I would look very, I would be very upset as a Prairie View alum if my AD did not have a contingency plan of some sort, if he did not know who he was going to bring in next. Every AD has to have a short list in this day and age because too much is going on and too much can happen.
And to Kofi's point, Brian, let's not forget, anything can be a potential stepping stone. Look at Oklahoma. They lost their coach to USC. Look at Notre Dame. They lost their coach to LSU. Anything.
Yeah, I mean, nothing is guaranteed, and this is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Even our own beloved Willis Simmons, you know, people want him. You know, he's also a rising candidate in the coaching world. You know, so I think that it would be foolish for Rattler Nation to think that he's going to be around forever. We'd love him to, you know, but the reality is sooner or later, somebody's going to come and try to make him an offer that he can't refuse. I just hope that we're in a position to combat that at the appointed time. But on any given day, anything can happen. You know, we were just here last year and Jackson State made a run at Coach Simmons. University of South Carolina made a run at Coach Simmons. Thank God he is still here. But that's the reality when you have somebody that is a high caliber coach on your campus. Dabo Swinney, you let Nick Saban retire and Clemson's going to have to hire somebody else because it would be hard for Dabo Swinney to be like, no, I'm not going to go back home to Alabama. It's going to be difficult.
Right.
You know, but if Lane Kiffin keeps building up his resume, it'll be between Lane Kiffin and Dabo, but that falls right into what we're talking about today. A good AD is always prepared with contingency. A good leader is always prepared with a contingency plan.
When we come back from the break, I want to continue this discussion because I am amazed at how excited people are for career assistant coaches. People are excited. And I guess that's a good thing. That's a good thing for the assistant coach profession because when I look at the head coaching records of the two men who'll be leading those programs in Louisiana, they're not, they're a smidge over 500. And for the other, they're well under 25%. So what are we excited about? What gets you all hot and bothered? Because you mentioned those other big programs there, Kelvin. Those guys had big-time winning records. So what's exciting the fan bases in Louisiana that got them all hot and bothered? And what excited the folks in Alabama State? I know
there is no record at Alabama State. There is no record at man. Come on.
Again, what got them excited? I mean, again, I
ain't seen no tweets from the Alabama State people.
Yeah, who said they're excited, man? I ain't seen no evidence that they're excited by this hype.
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit more. Shout out to the folks listening and watching on Twitter and Facebook. I saw Mary 305 pop in there. Shout out to the FAMU equipment staff. I know they always watch the show. We got to talk about those LeBron James 19, but we'll talk about that on the other side, equipment staff. We'll talk about that on the other side. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone. We'll be back in just a moment.
For 200 years, Montgomery, Alabama has been making history by people who had the courage to stand up for change. Today, this riverfront city has been reborn, embracing the past and looking forward to the future. From the National Memorial for Peace and Justice to the stage of the Alabama Shakespeare Festival, this is where history was and is made. We are proud to call Montgomery home, and together, we can be the change.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube, Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
All right, welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Brian, Kelvin, Kofi. I want to give a shout out to the few people I see out there on the YouTube chat room. Marcus JY, Marcus Green, who'll be joining us at the top of the second hour. Going to get into some recruiting talks. You guys on YouTube, you make sure you hit Marcus up with some questions because he'll be coming on here. Mr. Figures out there. Interesting thought. He seems to be okay with Coach Black going to Prairie View. That's all. I'll leave it at that. I'll let you go read his comments in the chat. Shout out to Kenya Sykes, Tamara Taylor. Shout out Crawford Avenue. Shout out as well. And you guys seen anybody on the Facebook? On the Facebook, any shout outs there?
Not as of right now. More people are on YouTube. I'm also on the YouTube. I'll head over to Facebook and see what's going on with these beautiful people.
I know Floyd Hill's out there watching. He better be, because I'm gonna give him a shout out. James Austin. All right. Yeah, make sure to if you would do us a favor, share the show. Take a moment. We appreciate you guys for being signed up as subscribers to the JBN on YouTube or on the Facebook page. If you are on Facebook, make sure to subscribe and go ahead and share this with a couple of Rattlers. Let them know we're out there doing God's work, talking about the orange and the green. I just saw, as we kind of transition here, we're going to come back to talking about these crazy hires going on in the SWAC West. No, Alabama State was the East. But the other opening now is the SWAC West. Prairie View seems to be the opening that's out there now. Still no word on Bethune-Cookman, as many people speculated and rumored. We don't, Coach Sims is still a coach.
He ain't going nowhere.
Okay, so put that to bed. But, who knows? The semester's not over, and the the season is technically not over. December, usually the season is over after the Celebration Bowl. So that's usually how I think a lot of contracts work. So we'll kind of see what happens. But I did see that FAMU basketball, the men's team, dropped the brand new exclusive LeBron 19s prior to the game against, who was that game against Tuesday? North Florida?
Florida Gulf Coast.
Or Florida Gulf Coast. I don't know why I thought it was North Florida. Yeah, so before Florida Gulf Coast, pretty nice. I don't know, are those shoes, Kelvin, what can you tell me about deals like that? When you see those exclusive deals that the teams get, do those ever make it out into the retail marketplace?
Sometimes they do. Most of the time they do, actually. But I know that some of the gear in terms of the LeBron branded jersey tops and performance tops and stuff are out at Dick's Sporting Goods. I think Marcus showed me some links. So some of it's out there, but in terms of the actual shoes, you know, LeBron, Nike, they're gonna do what they do, right? And so they have their own metrics that they're looking at and so forth. So I really can't. It's hard to tell with Nike, particularly. They're a big brand, big dog, and they kind of do things in their own timetables. But I do have to say, those shoes are fire.
Yeah.
Love, love, love. I'm not a sneakerhead for the most part, but
I would be after that.
I would definitely be getting those. Maybe two pair.
Yeah. Yeah, those are pretty hot. You know, so who knows, man? You know, I like the way we look. We just got to find a way to continue to play better. This game against Florida Gulf Coast, this pass is one of the rare Division I home games. Not let me rephrase that. Home Division I non-conference games that we get. Rattlers came up short, 69-55. First half did us in. Trailed 42-28 at the end of the first half. Tied them up basically 27-27 at the second half. And that's sort of what I've seen from this team of late. There's usually one half that either the offense kind of dries up or the defense doesn't get enough stops. You know, it's usually one half, and one half ends up biting us in the rear because we played pretty well in the other half. And you're almost coming away thinking, you know, we got to be able to put together two solid halves or at least be able to overcome the first half of poor play. How do you guys see it?
What I've seen, Brian, and I've had an opportunity to watch a couple of the games, is that, you know, I have to be honest. I'm a little disappointed that we haven't been more competitive in some of the out-of-conference games, especially considering I thought we were fairly competitive against UTEP. And then, you know, go out to California, and I thought we would be more competitive. I thought Florida Gulf Coast was a game that was winnable, frankly. But I tell you the thing, I think our defense is what I kind of expected so far. But I guess my disappointment is offensively. It seems like it's pretty much a one-man game, right? You know, if our leading scorer don't do it, you know, and once the defense starts to focus on them, we just haven't had enough consistent scoring from second or third scorer right now. And then I would add to that, at this level, really at every level right now, point guard play kind of drives success in basketball, and has been that way for a while now. It used to be big man back in the day, but you know, your guards kind of drive winning and production, and that usually is your point, and you know, a shooter, and we just haven't separated ourselves with that yet. You know, our 3-point shooter ain't good. Our turnovers are, you know, average, and our free throw percentage, I believe, is, you know, just okay. So even though our defense is strong, we got to win. We got to get better at a few more segments to be competitive in out of conference games. And really, I'm saying out of conference games, but if you look at what HBCUs are doing across the landscape in the SWAC and the MEAC, we're going to need that to win conference games, right? Because Prairie View just went to Florida, undefeated Florida, ranked University of Florida.
Texas Southern,
yeah, just went and just won convincingly, frankly. And then, of course, we've had other upsets in the HBCU landscape. And the MEAC side, they got several teams that are doing really well with Norfolk State and Howard. All have winning records, only a couple of losses. They've beaten their out of conference peers, so to speak. So this team is pretty experienced, is returning. This is the same team that went undefeated in the MEAC at home a couple of last year, and then the year before that, I think maybe lost one at home. So I thought we'll be doing a little bit better at this point. I haven't seen any real impact with the recruits and transfers yet. So, it's go time. So hopefully we'll start to see that.
Jump in there, Kofi. What do you want to add?
I want to see us win, and I'm not going to be long with that. Everything that Kelvin said, I'm in full agreement. I'm ready to see us win a game outside of Division II. I know it's not easy. I think that, you come to appreciate stuff like this, but, during a campaign and during a season, you learn how to close out games strong. And right now we're not doing that in crucial sets. And, momentum is everything when it comes to especially college sports. And so finding that spark, finding that momentum, finding that rhythm and sticking with it is where we are right now. We just got to get there. We got to get there fast because the SWAC is no joke.
The challenge that I see for this team is, and you mentioned this a little bit, Kelvin, where this game is played at now at the college level is from 21 feet out. 21 feet out. We don't, right now, we aren't hitting outside shots. We were 1 of 12 against Florida Gulf Coast. You can't win games shooting 1 of 12 from the 3-point arc. On the season, we averaged 25% from the 3-point arc, making just under 4 a game. Our 3-point defense, we're allowing 38%, almost 9 threes a game. Do the math. That's a difference of 9 to 4. That's 5 times. That's 15. That's an average of 15 points a game that we are behind at the 3-point line. So one of two things has to get better. The 3-point defense or the 3-point shooting. And in a Steph Curry world where everybody and their mama shoots from 21 plus, step back threes included. My God, are there way too many step back threes? But we're shooting 25%. You got
to make the shot. I mean, it's basketball. The ball has to go in the basket.
Hey, look. Is Lawson open 24/7? Is Gaither open 24/7? Is whatever rec center, is there a LA Fitness open 20? I don't know where, but somewhere in Tallahassee, outside of that 2 to 3 hours that the staff gets, those guys have got to go get shots up.
What I was going to say is, rhythm is everything, especially when it comes to your shooting, making shots. And once, I want to say, building that measure of confidence is what's going to help us to really get to that next level. Of course, you practice, but as you get in a rhythm and get on that streak, I believe it's going to really pay off. But we got to make shots, and that's really it. We got to find our winning formula and our go-to people, and we got to do it. We got to pull it together, and we got to pull it together quick.
I wanted to take a just a quick little gander and see, well, what are the other teams in the conference shooting from the 3-point arc? What are we faced against? Let's see. Oh, here we go. Southern shooting 38%. Grambling 35, 34, 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 27, 26. Guess who's in dead last? 25%. And we're middle bottom half in terms of 3-point defense. So again, there's 11 other teams in the SWAC ahead of us shooting better from behind the arc. Talk about a long conference season. It's got to get figured out. Again, like I said, Tallahassee, folks in Tallahassee, open up those gyms. Open up the gyms. Open up the doors. Let these kids get in there. Hey, shooters want to shoot, right? Let these kids get in there and shoot. I don't care if it's 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. Let them shoot. We need to shoot.
Now, let me say this. I say this at least once a show, but I want Rattler Nation to understand we are in a very crucial period right now for FAMU athletics. And we have an opportunity, even this year, in spite of everything that's going on with the basketball teams, we've got to start getting behind these kids, and showing up. We got 10,000 that show up to the football game. We should have 10,000 showing up to our basketball game. And that does wonders for the atmosphere. It does wonders for our team, and it does wonders for recruiting. So it does wonders for our revenue streams. It does wonders for building relationships with sponsors. It does wonders for how we are perceived in the basketball world. And if we are going to get little LeBron to come to FAMU, we need you all to start coming to the games now and getting loud and telling your neighbors and your friends to come to the game and just getting real creative. But absolutely, guys, basketball games, even when we used to play games in Gaither, were very instrumental. And I'm talking about just developing the heartbeat and the spirit level of FAMU. I'll never forget the Hey, Let's Go cheer when it originated back in the 80s and how it got started. It got started in Jet Gaither Gym. The Oh My Lord chant, oh my Lord, 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 Lord. All that got started at Jet Gaither Gym. A lot of the stuff that happens, the traditions and the fun aspects, even now at Lawson Center, the Greeks really get down. You have DJ Loose Kid. It's a great atmosphere. Let's take advantage of that, and let's send our basketball team to the next level. Both of our teams, our men and women's teams.
23,013 in attendance there on Tuesday night for that game. Don't know why it wasn't 5. Should have been 5. Should have been
2,000. You said 23,000. You said 2,300.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we wish. 2,313. 2,313 was the listed attendance. Should have been at minimum 4, more like 5, but
we need to have 6,000 every game at least.
Exactly.
Hey, well, since we're talking about that, guys, I have to say, we need to make sure from a athletic operations standpoint that we operate at a maximum peak too. We got to make sure we get the marketing out there all right. And people know about it far in advance. We got to make sure that our Ticketmaster system is loaded with the pricing and so forth, and we got to make sure we got the right price points for individual out of conference games, and that you can't surprise people, and they show up and they paying what they didn't think they were going to pay. So all those things play into that too. So we got to kind of show up some of that operational stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The Rattlers travel to Akron, Ohio on Sunday, take on the University of Akron, and then they will travel. That game will be on ESPN 3 p.m. Eastern to Central. Then on Tuesday, they will be in Cincinnati, taking on the University of Cincinnati. That's an 8 p.m. Eastern. So for Rattlers in Ohio, near Akron and Cincinnati, good opportunity to get out and go show some love, wear some orange and green, and show some support. I don't know what University of Akron is, but I always feel like, I mean, that's a school in the MAC.
Zips.
You know, the Zips. Yep. I don't know if
that's LeBron old school. It ain't a school, but you know he's from Akron. I put it like that.
Yeah, exactly. So who knows? You know, there might be an interesting trip that'll happen up there. What else was I going to add? One final note as we're talking about basketball. Shout out to Texas Southern University, who on Monday knocked off number 20 Florida with a 69-54 win. That was Texas Southern's first win. Now, we talk about not playing any home games. We remember those days. Texas Southern flat out plays no non-conference home games. Their first 13 games are all on the road. So, and they don't play cupcakes. I mean, that Texas Southern has played NC State, BYU already. Their schedule, they play Cincinnati a little bit later in the year. So, they don't play any cupcakes, but then again, that's the team that went to the tournament. They got a big time transfer from Houston, and look, they're rocking and rolling, and that's what we have to deal with. That's what we have to deal with. So we'll get into a little bit more basketball talk a little bit later on. But we're going to take a break, come back in the second half. We're going to get into some recruiting talk with our good friend Marcus Green on the other side. So you guys make sure to stay tuned in, I should say. You're watching the ONG Strike Zone. We'll be back in just a moment.
I'm returning to Clinton Parish, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Parish, we take the pain out of being heard.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties through its programs Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and parenting education coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida, 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
With your bad self.
Welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian, Kelvin, Kofi, and joining us, our recruiting czar, Marcus Green. Marcus, how you doing, brother?
Doing well. How are y'all doing? I've been catching the show the first hour.
From the chat room, live on screen. That's how it works. So we're gonna get into talking about a little bit of recruiting news and updates. But before we get into that, look, they had this thing that happened over in Jackson, Mississippi, where 50,000 people got to celebrate Jackson State winning the championship. Congratulations to Jackson State for doing what they do. And now it sets up for a great celebration bowl against South Carolina State. All the talk has been around the attendance numbers, because the attendance numbers for that game were high. The attendance numbers for the Celebration Bowl seem to be trending towards plus 40,000, maybe some are talking close to 50. Kofi had a great tweet earlier. I don't know if you guys saw it out there. If not, you need to make sure you're following Kofi at Believe365. He said, random FAMU football thought. We're going to have a new stadium sooner than later. Here's why. Jackson State comes to Tallahassee in 2023. Deion's return is 30,000 easily. Imagine FAMU playing BCU in Tally and what that would mean for the local economy. That's 3 homecomings a year. And so I bring that tweet up, Kofi, to you. And also with the news about, possible contract extension or contract extension talks for our athletic director, who's coming up near 2 full years on the job. I'm sure he's getting into his final year. All of these things, I know we're doing repairs on the stadium now, but all of these things seem to kind of be working together in some kind of way. Good or bad, who knows? What are your give us a little more background on your thoughts there, Kofi.
Well, in regards to the extension, Courtney's brought a lot of positive things to FAMU. And, having gone through the early part, I want to say since 2011, having seen a high degree of dysfunction within the athletic department, and seeing us go on probation and seeing all the APR issues that we had and seeing all of the raggedy facilities, the dysfunctional facilities, and the overworked staff, it's good to see the positive things that many of which were laid by the previous administration. But at the same time, Gaucher and his staff have done an excellent job of bringing a lot of these things to fruition and bringing these things to pass. He's had his rocky moments, as anybody would expect, being a brand new AD coming off the street. He's had his share of confrontations and different issues and different things like that, which we will not get into at this time in the inbox. We'll talk about it.
Who's out there confrontating with my AD? Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well,
Go ahead. Don't stop.
Keep going, go. Keep going. Damn it, Brian.
I'm sorry. I just can't believe there's folks out there confrontating against the AD. Hey. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. So he's done a good job navigating the shark-infested, rattler-infested streets. Not streets, but streets.
You said that beautifully well said. Go ahead. Beautiful.
Yeah, these rattler-infested streets ain't nothing to be playing with and stuff like that, because you mess with the wrong one, and you dealing with people downtown, you dealing with people from around the country who you don't know. People are calling for your head and your job, just all kind of stuff. But I said all that to say, we got the stadium, and I think that we are definitely headed in the right direction. He's been the first guy to really come in and lay a quality vision out in detail, so we can see where we are, we can see where we're going, we can see how we're going to get there. He's done that repeatedly. The key right now is for us and FAMU to be able to maintain that momentum. Having to get a new AD and having somebody to come in here, again, starting from scratch, even if they've been here before, it's not easy, because I'm still not convinced that we have Robinson's getting better. but there's still some more land to possess in that regard. So we still have a ways to go. And I think that, we can take it to the next level, provided that we unify, provided that the communication continue to increase and everything else. So my comment in regards to the stadium was related to the fact that, okay, so we're playing Jackson State again in Miami, but in 2023, they're coming to Tallahassee. And by that time, I fully expect FAMU to have had another banner season. Jackson State comes here. That's going to be Deion's return back into Tallahassee, where he played football at Florida State. Now, I'm expecting this game this fall to draw like 50,000 people. Oh, yeah. So, them coming to Bragg, that's going to be another Southern-like game. You got the Sonic Boom in the South, the Marching 100 who are in a commercial together. You got Deion Sanders returning to Tallahassee. You got all of that. And then, just looking at future revenue opportunities. Okay, so, yeah, I like the fact that we go to Orlando. I like the fact that the hotel prices are what they are if you stay overnight. And Orlando has been decent. But if you have 40,000 seats at $50 a pop, which is the average ticket price for the Florida Classic, that's over $2.2 million. That does not include parking. That does not include concessions, for our fans. So finding a way to do that is key, not to mention that Bragg right now is not conducive to additional revenue producing streams. I know we have the End Zone Club, but we've got to find a way to monetize that at the next level to where your Bank of Americas or whatever banks, your Wells Fargo, well, I don't want to mention Wells Fargo because they could be bad news, but, just whoever wants to come and sponsor the mighty Rattlers and name rights at the stadium and stuff like that. So we want to make sure that we have those opportunities available, and that has to be led by our AD, that has to be led and initiated also by our president, who can say, this is the direction that we want to go, because it's not just the stadium, it's also a hotel, it's also an indoor practice facility, which helps our facilities. It's also additional things that come along with it, even shopping opportunities, and that's going to help to boost the region and the economy on so many different fronts. So we have to understand our power, and I believe that sooner than later we need to press that, because we've been drawing 30,000 plus since the freaking 70s. It is now 2021 going into 22, and we're still at the 2025 mark. And there's still thousands of people in this region who have never come to a FAMU football game.
That's
FAMU football, we have our 10 to 15,000 faithful people that's going to be there every week. But let's think about Metro Tallahassee. Metro Tallahassee is Monticello, Quincy, Havana, Madison County, Monticello, Sneads, Mariana, all of those. That's 7 cities right there who could be Rattlers, not to mention Thomasville, Valdosta, Cairo, Bainbridge, and even Dothan, Alabama, all the way down to Gainesville. All of those people, we should be drawing from that particular group on a consistent basis. You do that consistently, and guess what? Bragg Stadium is packed every week, every single week. But we got to do the necessary work, got to present consistency, and stop picking unnecessary fights that cause us to have to consider the changes that we might need to have in athletics from time to time. So if we do what we're supposed to do, I believe that we can get an average over 30,000. It's just about us understanding what the initiative is and what we got to do.
Kelvin, as you get ready to respond a little bit, I find it interesting that the last time stadium improvements that was a different athletic administration, a different AD, and those he even got plans drawn. He even got stadium drawings done. And then he left. What are your thoughts on contract negotiations and extensions, and what kind of tie-ins does that mean for the future of Bragg Stadium, among other things?
So I'll start with the stadium stuff first, and I'm gonna be real brief because I do want us to get to the recruiting stuff, and then I'll make a couple of statements about the whole AD thing. But there's a P3 out, and it's been out for a while, and it precedes this administration that has a stadium, athletic complex, parking, RV parking, retail, hotel, plethora of things around it. And the concept behind a P3, and it's nothing new. Everybody's on P3. A lot of dorms are built now on campuses, our P3 public-private partnership. And there's a well-detailed plan that's out there, that's been out there for a while. And if we serious about what Kofi is talking about, then the P3 is what we'll have to do, because that is something that would generate revenue year-round, just not 4 or 5 football games a year, right? If you got retail, food, service, that the community can visit, hotels, because everybody complains about hotel prices, even though there's a lot more hotels built and being built, but during football season and graduations and legislative sessions, there rooms is at a premium, so the prices are increased. So in terms of the next level for us, because we have a nice Lawson Center, what we've done and doing with the stadium is nice, but to go to the next level, when you start talking about hosting classics and hosting high school championships and maybe semi-pro soccer and so forth, that I know, having been around that process and that planning, that that public-private partnership is something that I think that the Alumni Association and the president and board, they have to really, you got to be visionary with it, because scared money don't make money, right? It's an investment. So I hope at some point that Rattler Nation at large and the decision makers really see the value of that, because that's next level stuff. All right, our facilities overall on campus are looking really good, and if they continue to follow the guidance and leadership of the facilities group there, I think what they produce, we all can say as Rattlers, what we've seen over the last 10 years in terms of our campus landscape is significant. And you compare it to our peers, not just HBCUs, but other peers, we're doing some good things. Now, in terms of the AD, what I say is this. Ultimately, the audience that matters is the president, because that's who he reports to. Generally, negotiations happen in private, not public. And if you've done what you need to do, then it shouldn't be an issue. No administration is perfect. So but there have been some wins, some positives, and what I care about is what's best for FAMU. I do care about how you do things too sometimes, and making sure you do right by people, because family for me is people and it's real. And so I'll just leave that at that.
So you mentioned that coming in, but where did this start? Because I forgot who I saw. I saw this out there, and I don't know if I saw this as a story by in the Democrat or was.
Well, you got married to the game on your thing right there, so it comes across your Twitter feed. It's gonna come across your Facebook page, because Rory Sherratt did the article. So it is what it is, and it's out there. But let's just get it done.
I'm always fascinated at how those stories start. You know, I'm always fascinated. We'll put that over on the side and come over to Marcus and say, "Hey, Marcus, what's good?"
Marcus,
everything.
Would you like to add? Would you like to eat off of this dish? What we have this dish here. What would you like? Would you like to eat off of this dish that we have before we get into talking about recruiting, Marcus? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I'm not gonna go too deep because Kelvin knows from past things, there's things that I put out there. But I guess the one thing that's interesting is that I think chronologically, if I'm correct, you're both looking at, and I don't know if Coach Simmons got an extension, but I think he signed a 5-year deal on December 7th, 2017. And you got AD Gaucher, I guess he signed a 3-year deal in December 2019. So you're looking at both parties potentially needing an extension in the same year. So there's going to be some decisions that need to be made, you know, in terms of past performance and whatever tentacles are being reached out to, either, well, tentacles that are being reached inward towards them from other positions or other schools, and if they're, you know, sniffing around too. So it'll be interesting to see what 2022 holds. So I don't have, you know, a whole lot of detail, a lot of inside information on that, but I'm just saying it's interesting that both parties, by chance or whatever, happen to have, if my numbers are right, from a 5-year and 3-year deal looking to come up in the same year. And we're coming off of the last 2 years of playing 18-4, you know, and Coach Simmons a hot commodity. And even when, I've forgotten the young lady's name, she came down for the Tallahassee football club. She's an ESPN.
I know you're talking about ESPN.
Holly Rowe. And I guess she met Coach Simmons maybe a year or two ago. It was during 2019. And she said, you know, she believes he's going to be a star and all those type of things. So it'll be interesting to see in terms of renewals, finances, what's going to be asked, either asked on the part of the FAMUans, the FAMU to step up, and what's going to be asked for by the people looking for extensions.
So wait a minute. We didn't do the extension when all that stuff was going on. In the summertime, there wasn't an extension for Coach Simmons, or that was the more so we got the offensive, we got the staffing stuff.
I think it was the staffing. I was reading an article once again from the TDO around all that when I think it was last March, and I thought I read that there wasn't an extension, but there was provision made to get a full coaching staff and some other requests that were made. So I don't know if a contract extension was in there, at least going off of what was in the article. Once again, I'm going off of memory now.
It's saying that the extension keeps Simmons under contract through 2025.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. So
that takes that out.
Well, but if you're AD Gaucher, you're wanting an extension that would run into that same period as well. Because if I'm him, even though he didn't hire Coach Simmons, I'd want to be tied to Coach Simmons as long as possible as well, personally. And, you know, that would give you actually that'd be another 3-year deal, if I'm not mistaken. You know, if I'm doing the numbers and the math right. This is what I'll say, and then we'll get into recruiting and stuff. I witnessed what boosters at the University of Miami are doing. I see what boosters at Grambling did. At Grambling, what they did. They paid off a contract with a year left. You see what billion with a B dollar boosters are doing. Where are the $1 million boosters at Florida A&M at? I mean, I know they're out there, but at some point, somebody is going to pony up and want to pony up and say, let's go ahead and take this thing to the next level. We got the right people. We finally have the coach. I think we have the AD, but we have a lot of staffing things that need to get done. There's a lot of dollars that need to be put into. We can talk and see what's going on at other schools and the complaints going on. At some point, boosters are going to have to step up and drop money in the pot. With that said, Marcus, let's go into recruiting. because there's a budget that boosters could be dropping money in the pot for. We know that we got a coach that's out in Texas. Just in general, where do you get a sense that our coaches are at this time of year right now? We know Coach Black is in Texas. Where are you hearing about where everybody else? Are we out nationally in other places?
I would say yes, just because it looks like Coach Black and Coach Stanchek, based on their tweets, are out in Mississippi and East Texas. And we'd imagine that at some point they would swing back around and pass through Florida. And I know in the spring, they put out graphics from the football website in terms of who has what territories inside the state of Florida. And we've seen some tweets. I think Coach Dan Lemke tweeted something that implied he was down in his area, which I think is Southwest Florida. And I believe that they passed through the Tampa area last week, because there was a tweet from
Tampa Tech.
The Tampa Bay Tech head coach, like literally like an hour or two ahead of that. I guess they were at another school in the Tampa area, and he said, swing through here. And then later that afternoon, he posted a tweet, thanks for FAMU football swinging through. And they're in the state championship game for, I believe, either Class 7A or Class 8A. So it was good to see that we're tapping into that. I'm still trying to get a feel for who's responsible for what. So I think things shifted around a little bit. But I think Coach Black is also responsible for the Atlanta area. My understanding as Coach Tucker, maybe, I'm assuming, sharing responsibility in the Big Bend area. And so I'm not sure how, and it looks like Coach Patterson is responsible for the Orlando, Orange County area and somewhere around there. So it still remains to be seen. I'm trying to figure out, and they haven't pushed out any graphics for everybody. Like when Coach Stanchek came in, I didn't see one for him. We already know Coach Barasa and Coach Roll are down there in the bottom. So they're kind of established. And I think Coach Smith is responsible for Taylor County and also North Broward and some other areas. But I'm thinking that Coach Simmons might be going more national, or might be like the closer, like I used to think Bobby Bowden does, especially if Coach Tucker's taken over the Big Bend area, at least sharing it with him. Because some of the recruits that we've seen offers from over this past summer, this past year, that are way outside of our area, like a guy from Louisiana, a defensive tackle from Nevada, a couple guys, and they don't always consistently give out shout outs as to who recruited them or who made the offer. But it seems like more often than not, Coach Simmons is the name listed. So he might be doing more of a national thing and closing the deal. So we'll have to see how that works out.
Well, with Simmons just being out in Nevada this past week, that's kind of interesting. I got to imagine, he's on the West Coast. I would imagine that there might be a stop or two out in that region, seeing as how he's out that way,
Might be. And actually the guy that we offered, I think he's committed to Oregon. Don't know if he's wavering now that Oregon's coach has now gone to Miami, if he's committed to the school, if he's committed to the coach, or now if he's open. He's a 3-star defensive tackle out in Nevada.
Okay. Let me go to the depth chart here for a second, because some interesting points. By my math, your depth chart in terms of departing players would leave us with 6 on offense, 5 on defense. Some interesting names that I see here. Now, Kofi, help me out now, because now, Marcus, you've got Xavier as a departing player, but I don't know if it was Kofi or Kelvin. One of you two, I thought, had thought that Xavier was coming back.
He is. Both of us.
Coach Simmons. Yeah, Coach Simmons mentioned that in one of his interviews. So that's the thing. I was looking at that and I marked it up based on their classification, because I'm still trying to work through this COVID year, how that works. And I wasn't sure what year he came in, so I didn't know if he exhausted all of his eligibility for playing time. So, it sounds like Xavier Smith is coming back. But everybody else, I think on offense, I think they're pretty much – we're losing 3-4 offensive linemen.
Right.
We know Chad Hunter is probably gone, most likely, and Bishop Bonnet's gone. So, those are some names that bubble to the top in terms of productivity and awareness in the Rattler Nation.
it looks like Xavier would probably have to be a grad student. I'm assuming since he's a redshirt senior, I'm sure he's getting his degree undergrad, and I'm sure he'd have to kind of find a grad program to get enrolled in. Defensive side of the ball, though, I'm kind of curious about the bowlers. I didn't know that. Well, you got one's a redshirt senior, one's a grad. I didn't. All eligibility's gone with the
BJ?
bowlers. Yeah,
I'm not sure.
No.
Once again, the red shirt. I mean, the COVID thing. You have to double check and see what year he came in, because he transferred in from Mercer. So, and I don't know to what degree in terms of his red shirting, because I didn't do a lot of digging on his pre-FAMU arrival or pre-FAMU career. So he may be coming back as well. Now, the other bowler, we actually recruited him in 2019, Kendall, the young man that hurt his elbow in the, I believe it was the Arkansas Pine Bluff game. So he's got a couple years left.
BJ is listed as a junior and Kendall is listed as a sophomore.
Okay.
Okay.
So we got 1 million. Yeah.
So by that count, then that would leave about 3, 4, 5, probably six returners. And most notably, the biggest omissions would have to be in the linebacker core, where we lose both the middle and the strong side linebackers. Of course, our defensive ends. Well, we lose both Williams on that end, on that defensive end, and so and of course we use Marquise and Antoine Collier. But I mean, there are guys who've been sitting back in the waiting room for a couple years now that'll get their shot.
One other question I had was Ronaldo Flowers. I think he got hurt in the first game against Miami. I mean, not against in Miami, in Jackson State. So I don't know what his classification was or is, and if he either gets a medical red shirt or if he wants to even come back. So that's another variable in terms of the defensive end rotation. And he was preseason all SWAC first team, so they thought enough of him to put him on the preseason team, and then he got hurt in the first game.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a short break, come back. Let's get into the players who have already committed, who we've offered, and kind of get into maybe talking a little bit about what the transfer portal is looking like for FAMU. We'll be back on the other side. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
This is Carlos Brown, letting you know that we're on the move. You can now catch the Carlos Brown Show beginning this July on the Black College Sports Network each and every Saturday from 11 to 1 Eastern Time. That's 10 to 12 Central Time. Same time, new place. On Facebook at the Carlos Brown Show and Black College Sports Network. Online at www.mybcsn.net and on the BCSN app available on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
Sugar Chateau Desserts is a specialty bakery located in the Charlotte, North Carolina metro area. We will create delicious and one-of-a-kind treats for any occasion. Sugar Chateau is currently shipping cakes in a jar, offering a variety of different flavors in a single-serve container that can help you celebrate in accordance with social distancing. Place your orders today by calling 803-526-7895 or visiting sugarchateaudesserts.com.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, My colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
This is Ryan.
Let's go.
Welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Brian, Kelvin, Kofi, and our recruiting specialist, Marcus Green, exclusively right here on the O&G Strike Zone. Yeah, that's right. I said it. All of the information that others try to gather, but Marcus has it all in a nice bundle for us to talk about. So if you want to know what's going on, you're in the right spot. So now's a good time to go ahead and like and share and subscribe, or you go back and make sure you mark this point in the show. We were just kind of talking with Marcus about our depth chart on the football side. Now let's get into some of the recruits that are committed. Obviously, the early signing day is coming up
next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, that's the 15th. Yep, next Wednesday. Look, we understand how the early signing period has made college football crazy. We've seen it at the Power 5 level. We've seen coaches in the SWAC get fired early because of I think probably in part a little bit to the recruiting and coaches being hired quickly, even real estate agents being hired quickly. Y'all gonna leave that man alone, man. Y'all act like something wrong with being a real estate agent. Anyway, y'all just totally disregard the fact that the man was 11 years in the league. But anyway, Marcus, go through. Who do we have recruited or committed so far? Talk about the guys who've been committed so far.
Well, the 5 recruits we have so far are all high school players, and we see a lot of chicken little skies falling about the transfer portal, and it still remains to be seen. But the 5 guys that have verbally committed, at least the ones that I've seen on social media, on Twitter, are all high school players. The first one is Zaire Riley. He's like a 5'8", 170 athlete or DB athlete out of Gadsden County. He has, just from his clips, you see some of his athleticism in terms of, and his ball skills as it relates to playing defense. And actually, they used him some on offense this year. I think he caught a touchdown pass in their playoff game against somebody who had him by like 4 or 5 inches. So we're getting an athlete there. And so I think, once again, it'll continue the theme that Coach Simmons is getting quality players, maybe players who may be overlooked because their measurables aren't FBS eye catchers, but players that we can see that the development program at FAMU leverages them up and maximizes their talent. The next was a summer commitment. I believe he came and visited right after the locker room renovations, an offensive lineman by the name of Chris Williams out of Tampa Catholic. And he goes 6'4", 300, so he's adding some much needed beef. A linebacker committed in August, and folks may have seen his post on Twitter and his video, Datarius Lee, a 6'2", 200-ish, a linebacker out of Deerfield Beach. So he's coming out of down near the bottom. And we have another wide receiver athlete, Brendan Hall, out of Dixie County. He goes 6'3", 180, 190. And also recently this week, just picked up a verbal commitment from offensive lineman, another one from Tampa, TJ Demas, 6'2", 300 out of Clearwater Central Catholic High School. So now all of our verbals are for high school students. So we're not abandoning high school. So we're not going crazy with the transfer portal. I do have a theory, and I can get into that just maybe a couple minutes later. But those are the verbal commitments we have so far. I haven't seen any come through in the last couple days after Mr. Demas made a verbal commitment.
What are the openings? How many spots do you think? And I know there was an exemption the NCAA offering an exemption because of COVID. How many spots do you imagine we're looking to fill? Traditionally, I feel like it's somewhere in the 20 to 25. Could it be more this year?
I don't know, because once again, the COVID year, who comes back, who's declaring, all these type things are variables. I would take a guess in my preliminary spreadsheet based on just classification of the players for this year's roster. There were 28 players that were either seniors, categorized as seniors, redshirt seniors, or graduate students. So out of those 28, if you just take a guess, say half of that, or maybe 2/3 of that. So we're looking anywhere from 14 to 21 or 21 spots. And you also have to count, dare we say it, and we've already had one player jump into the portal that, some players decide to leave or move on. So that might open another roster spot, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. We also have to figure in whether that person's on scholarship or not, whether they're a walk-on. So it may be a roster, it may be a name on the roster, but is that person actually taking up a scholarship such that it's replaceable? Or is it a player who's being funded outside of academic scholarships, so not necessarily replaced by scholarships on signing day?
Okay. Let's take a look at some of the recruits that have been offered. I know this is that time of year where guys are really excited. They're getting offers. We're seeing all kinds of Twitter traffic, guys who excited, hey, thank you so-and-so. And, what I love about all these announcements is when they offer, they throw up the most random photos of the school and players. I mean, it's like, I'm going to throw this random offensive lineman or this, it's always interesting seeing God bless these kids when they get these offers and they're really excited. But let's talk, Marcus, who are some of the more interesting names? And let's start at the top, because it's always about QB1. A lot of people, we anticipate having returning QB. I think next year's starter is already in-house on the roster, but anything can happen. What kind of interest has you laughing, Kelvin? I see you. What kind of interest has the QB1 position got from the FAMU coaches?
Oh, that's interesting. Quite a pleasant mix. And then one interesting thing today, Nick Evers, who's a 6'3", well, at least at the time we offered him, a 6'3", 190 dual threat quarterback out of Texas. And he committed to the University of Florida, I believe, I want to say early spring or this summer. Well, just today, he decommitted from Florida. And he's a 3-star QB out of Flower Mound, Texas, at Flower Mound High School. So I don't know to what degree, he's like, thinking about FAMU, but I think we were one of his first offers. So we have Nick Evers.
Anybody got a GPS tracker on Coach Black? Given the fact he's in Texas, right? I'm just saying. Go ahead. I'm sorry,
Yes.
Marcus. Go ahead. I'm just putting two and two together. I'm putting two and two together. Go ahead.
So we've offered, at least as far as I can tell from social media tracking, we've offered 8 quarterbacks total. So it's been a mix of high school and a couple of JUCOs. And so we've offered a young man, Tevin Carter, out of Memphis, Tennessee, and he's actually verbally committed, I believe, to the University of Memphis. Ashton Daniels out of Buford High School, Georgia. So anybody knows Georgia high school football, Buford's always like a powerhouse. I think he's committed, I want to say, to Stanford. Javar Martin, who's a physical specimen. He's like 6'5", 220 out of Newton High School in Georgia. I don't think he's committed anywhere. And I think I saw a photo or a tweet of him visiting the school, maybe during one of our games this year. So that's promising. A young man by the name of Dijon Jennings out of Reynoldsburg, Ohio. He's a dual threat as well, and saw some of his stats, put up some pretty good numbers. I don't know to what degree he's visited or where his interest lies, but that's one thing. Another young man, Byron Brown, out of Rolesville, North Carolina. We've offered him, but I think he's committed to a school in North Carolina. I want to say Western Carolina or Campbell or somewhere like that. Alonzo Barnett, another one out of North Carolina, out of Greensboro High School, and I believe he's committed elsewhere. And a local guy, Perry Fisher, out of Lincoln High School, I believe he's committed to Maryland. But we've offered 8 QBs for the class of 2022. So we're still checking some things out, and yet to be seen what comes up, in terms of between now and February in terms of offering QBs. And there's a slew of folks who are either jumping in the portal or decommitting. So that's another variable you have to take into account in terms of who becomes available versus who we offered earlier.
Let me ask, Kelvin Kofi, you tell me, what is the ideal quarterback for Coach Simmons look like? Because I'm honestly here saying I don't think he's had it yet. His ideal. What do you think it is, and what do you think it looks like?
I think you're looking at a dual threat. That means you can do both things easily. If you look at a Lamar Jackson, he's a dual threat. He's a threat to throw, and he's a threat to run. So if you remember the Southeastern Louisiana coach's comments during the game, the way that one of the things that he said helped them defensively was knowing that McKay was not a threat to run. So because they knew that he wasn't a threat to run, they just banked on everything else, and it made the field a whole lot easier to defend. So a Lamar Jackson type, I forget the guy's, what's the quarterback's name at Florida State? What's his name?
Travis.
Yeah, Travis would fit in Coach Simmons' system amazingly. There are a number of, even Pass, who's at Prairie View, would fit in the system perfectly.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Somebody along those lines that has the ability to be a threat both on the ground and in the air.
Okay. I just wanted to put that out there because as we're talking about these guys, Marcus, I think it's good for Rattler Nation to kind of have a visual of, and look, I mean, that's just our opinion, but I mean, based on what we've seen, I agree with you guys, 100.
Let me just also say before you can say that not only is Rashawn going to be difficult to beat out, but I have the utmost confidence in the quarterback room. Those guys just have to, get a little more season and experience. But it specifically, don't be shocked if one of those 2 freshmen that we redshirted this year. We already saw a little bit of junior. I'm interested to see the progress that that Jackson makes. Yeah, also because he's 6'4", he's extremely athletic, and he can throw the ball 65, 70 yards in the air. From a physical standpoint, he has the tools. With coaches, being a former quarterback and everything is about the mental and trusting that you not only know the playbook, that you're not going to make mistakes and so forth. And like Rashawn has that in spades. So I think it was I think that Marcus kind of brought this up last week. We have to be careful. We can't miss if we bring transfer in. I understand we got to look at that, and it presents itself. It has to happen, but it's got to be somebody who fit that locker room too, not just talent, because we've got a pretty good thing.
Mm-hmm. It's a real good thing.
Marcus, give me
a question, gentlemen. Marcus Green, this is the voice of God in the background. Are we going after any top tier running backs? That's what I want to know.
I could check really quick now. We do have an offer to a young man from Minnesota who's a 3-star running back. His name slips my mind. Let me pull him up real quick. But we do have that offer out for 2022. I've not seen any offers. Emmett Johnson out of Academy of Holy Angels, and he did a real good job this year. I think they made the playoffs, and I think they got to the semifinals or somewhere in there. And so that we do have an offer to a running back athlete who's a bounce back from USF by the name of Josh Berry, and he's at Blinn Junior College out in Texas now. And so he was a 3-star coming out of high school, coming out of Ridge Community High School down in Davenport. So that's down there where Xavier Smith is from. And he went to USF, and then he ended up at Blinn Junior College, and he came out, I want to say 2018 or 2019. So he's still relatively young. And so those are probably the two. And also a 3-star running back out of Atlanta area, Justin Williams. So they're going for the ones that they've offered, at least for 2022. The guys that I'm seeing are 3 stars. Like the 6 that we have running backs: Chase Gillespie, local guy out in Godby, and I think he's committed to Vanderbilt. Anthony Hankerson out of St. Thomas Aquinas down in Fort Lauderdale. I don't think he's committed yet, but we placed an offer to him. Justin Williams out of East Paulding High School is the one from the Atlanta area, and he was committed to West Virginia, and I think he's open now. But I've seen some things from him in terms of some visits that he's made and coaches that have visited him. Eden James, Edrin James' son, committed to Howard, but we offered him. Emmett Johnson, the young man I mentioned from Minnesota, and Josh Berry, the transfer from Blinn Junior College by way of USF. So of the 6 or 7 offers, all of them came out at least 3-star rated.
Somebody needs to get on that Edrin James thing, because I'm gonna tell you what, if you can somehow get both of his boys, he's got one. And the reason I missed last week is because Edrin James' son was putting us to bed last Wednesday. But that boy can play. He can get a bucket whenever, wherever. If somehow somebody in Rattler Nation, there's no reason why Edge's 2 boys. I mean, look, his girls go to HBCUs. There's no reason why them boys can't come to FAMU. One in football, one in basketball. I'm just saying that now. So y'all, I'm telling you now, because the one that can ball, he can get it. He can go get a bucket anywhere he wants. And the boy who's going to Howard, well, God bless him. I don't know why he's going to Howard, but anyway, Marcus, give me a guy or two.
Make a call to Team Sampson.
Yeah, well, old teaming, if you're watching, you need to talk to your boy Edge. I don't know why he's going up to wherever, but anyway, Marcus, give me a guy or two off these recruits that we have offered that are really interesting, including we got a guy who's making a big decision coming up this weekend, possibly.
Yes, a local guy as well, played at Lincoln High School. I think he started out at Childs and then moved to Lincoln for his senior year. Michael Please, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his last name correctly.
Love the last name.
But he came out as a 3-star linebacker and went to Southern Miss, and he jumped in the portal, and he put out a tweet yesterday or day before saying he's down to his final 2, which is between us and Jackson State. And I'm starting to see that this thing is transcending just volleyball. It's volleyball, it's football.
I'm trying to tell people.
Yeah. It's the band.
This is
real. Like we're setting up, with Jackson State. Like this is going to be a battle for all the SWAC marbles. Like we're fighting for the Infinity Stones.
We haven't even started with baseball, bro.
Like baseball. Started with baseball and softball. Yeah. So
and women's basketball. And so and I think they're the defending champs of women's basketball too, I believe. I don't remember.
They are.
I think.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So Please's announcement is coming up this week. He started 11 games, I think, for Southern Miss. Who else? Some of the other guys. You got a few guys there on our pre-notes. Who are some of those other guys that you find kind of really interesting that we offered?
Well, I've seen over the last couple of weeks a lot of junior college offers. And just to diverge a little bit, what I believe may be a pattern or MO, especially with the advent of the early signing day, is that we may put offers out. We get high school verbal commitments, maybe put a couple offers out to JUCOs to maybe get them in by December, January, or at least get them committed to sign in February. And then when FBS teams get caught up in the transfer frenzy, and then you see who may get left at the altar, I think I've seen Coach Simmons and crew do a really good job either picking up the pieces for guys that they previously offered, or for guys who may no longer have a spot, coming in and getting in some 3 stars that perhaps may have at least from a social media standpoint that I monitor, weren't really on the radar. They may have been talking to him the whole time, but in terms of the things that I track, I didn't see anything. But we were looking at a couple of JUCO cornerbacks, CJ Christian, and another, I guess his teammate, Major Williams. Now, Major Williams is a Florida guy, and he's at Iowa Central. I'm like, he and CJ Christian. But Major Williams actually started out at University of Virginia. He's down from Lee County, from the Fort Myers area, went up to Virginia, jumped in the portal, ended up at JUCO, and we just offered him this week. And the thing to note about both of these corners is that both of them are like 6'1", and a little taller, and 190, 185, 190, 200, somewhere in there. So it looks like we're trying to bump up our size a little bit as it relates to our corners.
Well, I was going to say that's actually pretty, that's huge, because it was a deciding factor in the game with Southern Jackson State. It was a deciding factor in the game with us in Jackson State. It was a deciding factor in our game with Southeastern Louisiana. Seeing our length at that position. I want to say that, McNeese is also going through an incredible transition with the loss of their head coach. And so I saw a number of their players begin to declare or enter into the portal. And then also there's that whole thing with the COVID exemption expiration. So does anybody understand how that affects the full roster?
I'd have to look into that, but I know they started to want to pare down rosters to get back to the normal level as it relates to the NCAA. We can have certain roster size. I think it's 85 for the FCS level and 105 for the FBS level. And of course, they had the exemption because we had consecutive recruiting classes, and we have people coming back for a COVID year. So they're really bloated. And I haven't really studied the methodology they're going to try to use to get back to those normal levels and how that's all going to play out. Cool. But I do think there's an opportunity for us, given all these changes and as we see the transfer portal frenzy. I saw something from 24/7 or Rivals that they had nearly 200 people jump in the portal from the end of this weekend's games, or the last 2 weekends. And they're on pace to have more people in the portal, if that trend continues linearly, to have more than they did even the year before.
Wow.
And so with that, we even see some of the guys that we offered previously who went other places. Like there's a wide receiver who actually played for Coach Prime in high school. His senior year in high school, he and Shador were teammates. A wide receiver by the name of Jordan Williams, who's a good dude, a good player, 3-star wide receiver, started out at Westover High School in Albany. They went out to Trinity Christian in Texas, played his senior year for Coach Prime, spent his freshman year at Indiana, and he jumped in the portal. And there's a few other guys we offered, like T. Denson from Kansas State, a defensive back out of Cedar Grove High School, who's basically a Class 3A power in Georgia. Won, a few state championships over the last 4 or 5 years. He's in the portal. The aforementioned Michael Pleas, we offered him coming out of high school. He's in the portal. And so there's a few folks who've received FAMU interest in the past who are now in the portal, and it'd be interesting to see. Also, quarterback Catravis Marsh out of Miami Central went to USF, and he's in the portal. He came in the portal last week. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Yeah. And these are guys who've been there for like a year or so. So they're jumping out after, for whatever reasons, we can speculate, but for whatever reasons, they're jumping, making themselves available. And I don't know if it's a matter of the sheer numbers we're seeing. We don't know if it's a matter of playing time, a matter of made a wrong decision, or just seeing the writing on the wall in terms of FBS teams preferring experience for their position, pushing back, and which the trickle-down effect for FAMU hopefully is we may get some key transfers, especially at the linebacker position, as you mentioned earlier, where we're losing our 2 seniors and our 2 safeties, so up the middle, but also could push down some high school talent to us that may not have been there because of all the positive PR we've gotten the last year or so with everything going on, and the fact that transfer portal and some of those teams at the FBS level are looking to get experience. And so maybe they're pulling back their high school recruiting, but if we continue to pick it up, we can get guys like a General Hunt or a Mike Marshall or a Jaleel Kaur or a Ben Onwuzo or a Winsome Frazier, who are 3-star guys who may have been at the FBS or Group of 5 offer level, and they ended up becoming Rattlers.
I saw one. Speaking of those guys, those type of guys that you just mentioned there, on your list of 3-star offers who committed but have recently rescinded their commitments. That athlete, Trayon Webb, at Trinity Christian. He put us down this past Friday in the Final Four of the 2A. We watched this boy break out on a 99-yard run, which is, I mean, for his size, to watch him run away from guys who should have been able to catch him, I was just dumbfounded at what this guy did. So, hey, that's, and he's got good size. I think he's like 6'1" or 6'2", something like that. He decommitted from Oklahoma when the coach left. So, and he's only a junior, probably. I don't think he's a senior. He's a junior.
Yeah, he's a junior. I think he's class of 23.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
I mean, that's real interesting. All right. So, portal news coming up. Look, next week is the early signing day. Just ballpark, how many guys do you think, based on maybe the previous last 2 years, because this is year 3 of the early signing period, right, Marcus? Year 3?
I think it's year 3 or year 4.
What's your anticipation on how many guys do you think, roughly FAMU might sign? We've got 5, sounds like. What do you think? How many might sign early?
Historically, we've kind of focused on, at least under Coach Simmons, the last numbers that I've seen, we really bang it up on regular signing day in February. On early signing day, we might get 1 or 2, 3. So I don't know to what degree all the swirling changes are going to impact that. So I don't know. I'm guessing maybe 1 high school person may sign on the line if their school has a ceremony, and I'm guessing and I'm hoping at least 1 transfer or a couple of transfers, maybe 1 JUCO or 1 FBS that's going to commit. Because I think Jay Jackson Williams committed last year on the early signing day, and there was 1 other. So it was a small number. So even though it was close to Christmas, I didn't get all the presents I was hoping for on the early signing day, but they came through on the late signing day. And that's the other thing with like I mentioned before, about closing deals for guys who may have an offer rescinded from a FBS team after early signing day. I think that's where we're going to clean up. So I don't know if I would anticipate a big signing next week, but I think we're going to see some surprises and hopefully see some surprises come through in February from the coaching staff. And they're doing a bang up job in terms of getting their names out there, visiting folks. And you can see that they've built up some of their graduate assistant staff, because I think they added at least 3 or 4 graduate assistants that are helping either with positions and or recruiting. So I think all of those eyes, ears, and boots on the ground are going to help bring in a really bang up class that goes along with all the positive PR we've gotten this last 12 months or so.
Well said. So Rattler Nation, over the next week, as you see these recruits out there, you make sure to send them some love. Let these kids know that this is the place to be. Retweet, quote tweet, reply. Let them know. It makes a difference. It does make a difference to these kids. And I got a feeling with the fact that the JUCOs and transfers can enroll in the spring, I would not be surprised if we get, as many as 10. I mean, I may be high on that number, but I would not be surprised if we're signing 10 guys in this early signing period, and guys who can enroll in the spring and be ready for spring workouts and in spring camp. that'll go a long way to getting this class ready. So maybe next week, who knows? We'll put the call out. We might have Coach Simmons. I'm not predicting, but we've been known to call, and he's been known to pick up the phone. So that's a good thing for us. So maybe we'll get Coach on and tell us a little bit about the recruits. Marcus, we're gonna have Marcus back on, obviously, to see what's happening between now and next week. And that's how we'll do. We'll close out the year that way. Kelvin, any final thoughts before we close tonight's show?
Yeah, I want to acknowledge a couple of Rattlers that we lost. Mr. Hagerbrook, longtime supporter, very active with the Alumni Association, where he was, as well as when he came back to Tallahassee. We lost him. And then, of course, Dr. Smith, former president. Condolences to the family, and it's a loss for all the Rattler Nation. Those are pillars of the Rattler Nation, and we've lost quite a few of them this year and over the last 2 or 3 years. But we salute them, and it's our charge, our responsibility to build upon the legacy that they left.
Amen. Well said. Kofi, any thoughts as we close?
Man, we need to buckle our safety belts, and get ready for this next week of action. I'm excited about our recruits coming in. And I just want to challenge us once again to get behind our Rattler basketball, and spring sports are just around the corner as well. Let's get on the board, man. Let's do what we got to do. I also want to acknowledge how active Rattler Nation is on Twitter and social media and Instagram. That stuff matters. We had a surge with Skull Sparks. I think that's the name. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And their analytics in terms of what's happening, man. So we need to keep up that energy, keep that same energy all year long. It's just amazing to see us atop, because to beat out Dion and Jackson State is a big deal, especially now. And they're way down there 18. So guys, let's keep up the good work. Looking forward to what's to come.
Hashtag I believe doesn't really register under JSU. But anyway, go ahead, Marcus. You want to give any final thoughts there as we close up?
Oh, I agree with Kofi. We got to get our Twitter numbers up, because according to that study, Instagram was like way up there, and Facebook. We got to get our Twitter numbers up and make sure they're consistent and not, having ebbs and flows over the years. So we just need to continue the Rattler support that we've seen with all the positive publicity with everything from the football, from the school, in terms of our rankings, not only in football, but as the #1 public HBCU, homecoming, epic homecoming, the Will Packard dedication ceremony being on ESPN multiple times, and also on Why Not Us. And I've been having withdrawal the last couple of weeks, but I think the last 2 shows are going to be Thursday, the 16th, and then the 23rd. So we'll have to see what they have on there. But just with all that publicity, we have to maximize it.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Well said. I'll just close by saying, be careful of all these folks out here pumping up their love of HBCUs. A lot of people are doing stuff and not necessarily for HBCUs. They doing stuff with HBCUs. They doing stuff that's in the best interest of their family, their brand, and not necessarily in the best interest of your school, my school. That's going to do it for tonight's show on the O&G Strike Zone. For Kelvin Rozier, Kofi Hemingway, a special guest, Marcus Green. Shout out to our Rattler producer, Roy Evans. Thanks to everybody on YouTube and Facebook for watching. If you're listening on the BCSN Pod Zone, thank you. Go share the show. We will be back next week with some recruiting big-time news, and we'll have more. All right, Rattlers, let's get out there and strike, and strike again. Peace out.